Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our Business Breakthrough Google Hangouts. Here, our weekly show. And over the last couple weeks, I've been away, and you've had an opportunity to, I trust, to watch two of our best recordings of previous Google Hangouts on our Breakthrough Business Google Hangout show on Mondays at 2 o'clock EDT. So today we're going to talk about my system for reinvention. And this is a system that I use all the time for myself, and I teach to my clients. And I'm going to spend some time today and cover three rules, if you will. And each of them that I'm going to share with you are literally overlap one with another. So just like everything that we teach, and one of the reasons why accelerated teaching and learning, a key component to accelerated teaching and learning, is that there is an application and an overlap in the way that you structure your training material. And the faster that you get your target market, your potential clients, your ideal customers to consume your material, the faster it is that you can build a relationship with them. So I want to share with you something that's worked very well for me, some principles, and I'm going to share with you 5 principles or 5 rules on executing in speed to market fashion, and how to reinvent yourself, whether or not you are just starting out in business, you're just starting on your entrepreneurial journey, or you're a seasoned pro and you understand that in today's marketplace you need to know how to continuously reinvent yourself and grow yourself and your business. So I'm going to be sharing that with you today. And if you're new to our Google Hangouts, please feel free to, and if you've been following us for any length of time, please feel free to make comments where you're at, or on our Google Hangout page, newgurumodel.com/hangout. And would love to hear from you and provide further assistance to you. All right, so we're going to spend time today, and I'm going to go through these 5 rules. And these are rules that I use for my own business, for my own clients, and for my own self. What makes these 5 rules so powerful is the following, and I believe what makes this so crucial for you to understand is a concept. One of our speed to market principles is that the skill sets of making it in business and the skills of teaching other people to be successful are completely separate. And it's one of the reasons why our Lifestyle Entrepreneur magazine, for example, sets itself apart in the marketplace, because it understands, or the magazine is created positioned to assist others, business owners that are just in startup mode, or seasoned entrepreneurs, to get specific advice. No more do people want information. We're drowning in it. We can easily get it right online. What people want is specific advice to solve very pertinent problems. So I want to help you with that, and I want to help you with it from my perspective. I come out of the teaching field. I specialize in accelerated teaching and learning, and we've also been able to master some really cool business acceleration systems to help clients gain serious market traction. And I'll tell you this right now, I would never have dreamed of doing what I'm doing today in business. So I want to say that at the onset. So let's move forward here. The first principle, or the first rule, is to make a decision. To make a decision. There are 2 types of decisions that you're going to have to make in order to totally transform yourself. All right, so I want to make sure that you want to probably take some notes in our training like you normally do. But 2 types of decisions. There's a cognitive decision, or a decision that's made up here. The problem with people trying to make decisions up here is they get constrained, like I do, like you do, from our paradigm from which we're in, or from stories that we have about what we can and can't do. So the second type of decision making, and a more powerful decision making process, is an emotional one. Is understanding that if you want to speed up any kind of execution in your life, you need to be able to create a cognitive decision, or make a cognitive decision, one up here in your brain, and an emotional decision, and one that's tied to ultimately how do you influence your emotional state. You ask better questions, you move your body, so you get yourself out of your habitual comatose-like state, and you ask more powerful questions. All right, if you think about it, all decision making is really, and all thinking for that matter, is just a silent Q&A session with yourself. So get clear on the types of questions that you're asking yourself and begin to ask better questions. As I mentioned, you want to definitely change your routine. If you want serious business acceleration, you're going to have to do things differently. One of our speed to market principles is that every income level requires a new you. Every income level requires a new you. So you've got to know how to take action steps that are going to push yourself, and wherever you are and whatever your paradigm is, into the next paradigm, or into the next level of income, and then the next level of income. In order to do this, then, it's absolutely crucial in the area of making a decision to not only invest time in yourself and in your business, and I'm not necessarily saying invest more time in yourself. You need to restructure your time. You might need to redo. As I said, you change your behaviors. You might need to stop reading a book. For most people, that was for me for 2.5 years, stop reading books and DVDs, start really focusing on implementation. And the other side of investment is not only in your time, but in your money. You're going to definitely need to make an investment in your company, in your ideas, in your business, in your growth. I can't see how anybody today can make serious quantum leaps in themselves without making an investment in time, and an investment in money, and an investment in restructuring your energy. All right. If you just take a look at shows like Home Improvement, the Biggest Loser, and shows like that, there are real stories and real analogies that it is possible to make quantum leaps in your business and in your thinking and in your doing. The last component I want to touch on here on making a decision is, what is it that you actually want, and be specific, and why is it that you want this? So what is it that you really want, and why do you really want this? All right. So you want to be able to really tie in who you are, where you want to go, and most importantly, why do you want this? Because usually when the going gets tough in business, and there's always hiccups, and there's always things as you're developing yourself, there's always a story about why you don't deserve success, or why you should only get this amount of success as opposed to this amount of success, or however you want to quantify it, but it's usually tied back into a story about why that's constraining us, right? So that's, again, why we want to make a decision to really build ourselves, our company, our dreams from a completely different perspective than we currently see business and our growth. All right, so that's important to note. Second principle, the second rule then, is focus. All right, so if we're going to make a decision in the first principle or the first rule, we're then going to make a decision to focus. All right, in a different way of focusing. That's crucial. You need to be able to focus in a different way. One of the keys that I would recommend to all of you, and something that I did to transform my thinking and transform my ability to execute. For those of you that don't know my story, I'm a former educator. I was an assistant vice principal. I was a vice principal or assistant head in education. And I was following everybody else's rules for what Glenn Dietzel was going to do with his life. In fact, most of senior administration with my school board had me becoming the youngest superintendent, and I was on track to become the youngest director of education in Canada. And I needed to get really clear and focus on, was it who was I really, what dreams were I really going after in life? Whose business was this? Whose dream was it? Um, who was ultimately accountable for my success? And for so long, my accountability was not really with myself. It was with the teaching that I've been told growing up from my middle class parents. God bless them; they're wonderful parents, and I absolutely love my parents. But they led me to believing that the way to get ahead in life was through what just about all parents teach their kids today, right? To get a university education, get lots of university education. I'm not knocking university education, all right? I just want to realize that from my perspective, more and more university education was very helpful, but on the other hand, it was really constraining me from going after what I really wanted, because at the end of the day, I was really just following what my parents wanted for me. And so in the area of focusing, I was focusing from the standpoint of middle class thinking, of my father, who was an accountant, and all the constraints that he had on how you should be spending your money, and not realizing that there's two fundamental investments that you need to make in your company. And as I said, time, money for sure, and the third area is energy. So we want to have the right focus in our marketplace today, and allowing or making sure that you maintain that focus. You need accountability. One of the things that I did early on in business, and I still do to this day, is I'm accountable to my wife. I'm accountable to my kids. They watch my reputation online, and I'm very proud of our reputation. But as I've mentioned to a lot of people that I get a chance to connect with, clients that come in, or amazing entrepreneurs that come into the Canadian Lake Home for our one-day intensives, the accountability for me in business is not just to my dream and to my wife, but I have two boys that are watching me that are in high school, and they're not necessarily listening to what their dad says as much as they're listening as a fly on the wall to what their dad does. So that accountability today is huge. And all of us today have people that are watching us. We are accountable. And it's really good if you flip accountability around sometimes and take a look at who are the people that you want to prove wrong. Sometimes that becomes the engine or the resetting your focus to prove to other people that you can do something. You can do something that they would deem impossible, that you might deem impossible right now, but can be definitely executed on. So accountability with yourself, accountability with key people. All right. One of the concepts that I teach to all my clients is setting up your own board of advisors. These are trusted individuals, entrepreneurs that you can lean on in your own local community. Lean on them in a way that they will help you grow your company and help you step up your conversations in the marketplace to begin to really critically talk about what it is that you do. We shared on a previous Google Hangout one of our systems for helping with focus, and I'll draw it out here. And if you missed it, I spent a lot of time on a previous Google Hangout a few weeks ago helping you get clear on your competitive advantage. And when you get clear on using our Venn diagram approach, you remember our Venn diagram approach, we talked about this, the 3 overlapping circles, and really getting clear, and this is chunking your content from 3 different levels, which you could be doing in the market, and then really building and focusing on your competitive advantage. So the third principle then is accumulating the right data. The right data is absolutely crucial in focusing on the right data. So we started by ensuring that you're making a good decision. Secondly, looking at how you can refocus yourself in business. And it's absolutely crucial that if you want to elevate your focus, there must be a level of increased accountability for you and what you are doing. And let me just move my camera here a little bit here It seemed to have slipped down a little bit. And so if we want to increase our accountability at the highest level in business, we need to know how to generate data. What kind of data are you going to generate in business? And the first kind of data that you want to take a look at are, what are your core competencies? What is it that you're really good at? And it's really important, and I do this regularly. I interview those that know me the best, and especially when I was starting out in business, I wanted to know how to chunk my advice and organize it according to the Venn diagram approach that I just showed you, and spent a whole Google Hangout talking about this. But I wanted to get really clear on what my core competencies were. So I did two things. I first of all interviewed 8 different people that knew me extremely well and asked them what they could see me doing if I weren't in teaching. All right, because at that time I was the youngest vice principal of an elementary school in Ontario, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do when I fully grew up. I just realized, as I've shared on previous Google Hangouts, that I realized one day I had this epiphany that I was following everybody else's advice for my life except for my own advice, and what it is that I really wanted to do, and what was Glenn Dietzel's dream. So generating the right kind of data is crucial. So what kind of data do we want to generate? We want to generate data from those that know us the best. What could they see us doing? What do they see us as being really good at? A second type of data, an even more important type of data, and data they spend on with our clients, is data that you get back from those that you've assisted already, whether you've done it pro bono or whether somebody has paid you for your advice, but getting clear on what kind of advice you offer. And I've given you a template to work from on a previous Google Hangout, an exact template that we give our clients on how to analyze your advice so that you know how to begin to create a substrate or a scaffolding, if you will, to command maximum fees and royalties for your advice. So knowing how to get the right data from your clients, current and past clients. And if you've never made any money selling your advice, you've given away a ton of advice, a ton of valuable advice. And search back on some of our previous Google Hangouts, and I've given you a template on how to analyze your advice, so that, and it's a whole unique process from an accelerated teaching and learning perspective to help you see how valuable you really are. Another thing that I really recommend that you do is keep a journal. There's nothing more powerful than understanding one of our speed to market principles, and that is writing is the doing part of thinking. Writing is the doing part of thinking, and writing is the most kinesthetic way of activating your subconscious mind, so you want to make sure you do that. Write and execute. Write and execute. Writing provides the self-reflection, and one of our speed to market principles is that he or she who self-reflects the greatest controls marketplaces today. So self-reflecting, but not just any kind of self-reflecting. You want to self-reflect by looking within for value and look without for perspective. Another one of our speed to market principles. You look within for value, you look without for perspective. So those are some quick thoughts around constraining how you build your data. And the biggest mistake that I see entrepreneurs making today is they start with product data, you know, writing a book, putting a program together or service together, instead of understanding a more important type of data, which is problem data, and even more important, marketing or feedback data. Hence the reason why you want to interview others to get really clear on making that kind of quantum leap that you want. The fourth rule is when you are going to produce data now, we've talked about data, you want to begin to create the kind of data that is didactic. Didactic, or another way of saying that is you want to speak to teach. Speak to teach. Now you might be saying, Glenn, what do you mean by that? Well, if I look back at how we've transformed our company and myself, it's always been done in the market. It's never been done Well, it has been done in quiet times with myself through self-reflection, but it's always been taking that self-reflection and testing it in the marketplace. And one of the things that I did right at the very onset of growing our company and leapfrogging myself out of my job and up my wife out of her job as an occupational therapist was to begin to understand the importance of speaking to teach. Speaking to teach, which is a didactic process of really getting clear on what it is that you're doing. You see, most people live in books, they live in audio programs. They might be living like you are right now with a Google Hangout with me. And this is really, as good as this is really just passive learning for you, unless you're actually taking notes. And if you're taking notes as I'm talking, now you're beginning to make it active learning. And because as you're writing, you're beginning to write, and you should be writing at two different levels: a level of self-reflecting on yourself and your own business, and a deeper level of executing in today's marketplace. And I see so many people today reading books, listening to DVDs, consuming a lot of information, but not a lot of great advice when it comes to how do you execute and accelerate that allows you to create massive transformations in who you are and in your business. And those transformations, as I said at the very beginning, by making a decision and focusing differently, start with the mind, and they're replicated in the marketplace. So you start with the mind, you start with the emotional state in the mind and the interaction with that. We've talked about that on previous Google Hangouts, but you support it in the marketplace. And you do, one of the best ways of doing that is teaching. You speak to teach. I joined Toastmasters when I was in education, and I did it not because I wanted to become a competent Toastmaster and get my 10, pass my 10 stages to get my competent Toastmaster. I strictly did it to hear myself thinking about what I was doing so that I could analyze the gaps of my thinking and also get feedback from those that were in the audience. You see, people that are in Toastmasters, most of them are very want to be more entrepreneurial. That's why they're speaking. They want to be speakers. They want to set themselves apart. They want to be able to command fees. But just most speakers are really using a horrible business model to leverage their advice, and they can never really command maximum fees and royalties. Why? Because they're using a faulty business model. So in the area of speaking to teaching, then, you want to make sure that you are leveraging something here and understanding the difference between inductive versus deductive. Understanding the difference between inductive messaging and deductive messaging. See, most people when they're teaching, they teach inductively. They teach just as if they were going to school, and or as their professors taught them or their teachers taught them. And there's a different type of messaging. And we've spent time on previous Google Hangouts understanding a more powerful consultative process, so that when you're speaking to teach, that you are leveraging a better business model that doesn't just randomly talk about building confidence, talking about what's so important with what it is that you do and how you can help your marketplace, but tapping into the deeper levels of desire and the problems and the bigger change that's going on in the market inside of what is your big idea that doesn't necessarily have to be better, it just has to be different. You can also, in speaking to teach, you start your own Google Hangout and start your own online media show every single week. It's a great way of becoming accountable to what it is that you do by hearing what it is that you do as you speak to others. As I mentioned, you want to message what you do to be able to really build two types of brands. And it's very difficult to build a brand the way that most people are, through email, building a brand by doing what most experts and gurus are teaching today around becoming an expert or achieving expert status in your market. I would rather own a market right off, and I want to know how I can own a market immediately. And that's why when it comes to speaking to teach, I believe, and I always teach from, our coaching and co-branding model or our mastermind monetizer model. Why? Because I want to position our company at the forefront of what's going on in the marketplace, and so do you, right? Because when you do that, you convey to your marketplace that there are changes going on, that there's something different, something perhaps even better, that you understand the problems deeper than they understand their problems. And this is all the power of knowing didactically how to teach to, or how to speak to teach to your marketplace. All right, so we want to be very careful, though, when we speak to teach, that we really leverage deductive messaging, understanding how the human mind really processes, understanding how the subconscious influences the conscious brain, how to message what you do directly into your subconscious, your own personal subconscious, to make massive transformations, and also that gets by the biggest resistance that controls what it is that you can or can't do, and that's called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. Your marketplace has one too. That's why when you start talking to them, if you start talking to your marketplace the way that most people do, they've automatically tuned you out. So we've spent a lot of time on previous Google Hangouts talking about a better consultative process. Consultative process that's always constrained, number one, by the big idea. What's novel in your market? What are you bringing to the market that's different from your own personal experiences or what you learned through your own trials and tribulations, or the school of hard knocks? What is the major change going on in the marketplace? What are the big problems that you can enumerate and discuss even before you start talking about the features, the benefits, and the advantages of what you do? And yet, most people speak just like used car salespeople. This car has this feature, and it's got these benefits, and it does this and all of that. And as in the advisory age today, if you really want to speak to teach, you can't be in that sales modality. You've got to be in the trusted advisory modality, which means that you've got to position yourself and what you're talking about in a way that builds instant momentum. So if you follow what I'm just talking about, you're going to be able to speak to teach that allows you to control your marketplace. Next rule, principle, is that you should have a mentor. It's absolutely, I'll just be right up front with all of you. I mean, I hire mentors all the time. I've hired mentors and I've invested several $100,000. We're getting close to $400,000 that I've invested just on business mentoring and growing my company, because the skill sets of making it a business and starting a company and making money are different than the skills of keeping that money, investing that money, knowing how much money to reinvest in your company and invest in other areas, and in R&D and in growth, etc. So I lean on a ton of coaches and mentors to help us grow our company. It's one of the reasons why we've become one of the fastest growing coaching and consulting companies in the world. Not because of me, not because of my great oratorical abilities. As you can see this, I'm just a normal guy. I'm a normal person, and I a lot, but I come with a lot of faults. What I have, though, is a great system, a more intelligent business model to help entrepreneurs execute today. Why? Because I've been majoring with multiple PhDs in the real world of helping clients close deals, very high-end deals, helping them put together their processes to allow them, number one, positioning in their marketplace. When you're choosing a mentor, though, I'll just add a few notes here. Choosing your mentor, here are a few variables that I would look for in choosing a mentor. I am privileged, because we have our digital magazine, to have literally hundreds of world-class experts and gurus coming to us to be featured in our magazine. Unbelievable consultants, Fortune 500 company owners. It's astounding, and there are a lot of people that you could mentor, that could mentor you. A lot of really good people. Here's some of the variables, though, that I would look at for mentoring. Number one, I would want access to a mentor. That's really important for me. So if I don't understand something, or if I need help or something, or assistance on closing a deal, etc., I know my mentor is going to assist me with that. The core competencies of business: value creation, value delivery, more importantly, marketing, sales, and ensuring you've got high profit margins. Secondly, I would want my mentor to not be an armchair mentor, consultant, or coach, but somebody that's doing it, that could show me what they're doing, that could allow me to model what it is that they're doing in my own business. And these are some of how I vet my mentors. Thirdly, I would want, and I would recommend, that you get virtual assistants with your mentor, and you get live assistants. And that live assistance, I mean, literally, is live mentoring, where you get face-to-face mentoring with your mentor. So another really important variable next would be project management help. I really lean on the mentors that I invest in, whether it's setting up entities, whether it's in moving into real estate investing, whether it's moving in just within our own specific core competencies of business, leveraging our digital magazine, etc. I lean on a lot of people to assist me because I don't have those specific skill sets. So I hire out a lot of people, and it's really good if you can get some project management help with the mentor that you're getting, so you have access to their project manager to assist you with execution. And one more key component is, because I come from a teaching background and I'm a teacher by passion and profession, really believe in case studies. Will your mentor position you as a case study and use you as a case study? I think it increases the accountability, not just for your mentor, but it increases the accountability for you, knowing that there's something special happening in the relationship that you have with the coach, consultant that you hire out to grow your company. So I can't stress that enough, to seek out the counsel of people that know business from both perspectives: how to start a company and grow it at an accelerated rate, and also how to help you and teach you so that you can leverage those teaching skills with your own clients and get the kind of results that you were really after with your business. In the last area, and I think the area that sums up all the principles and rules that we've talked about, is execute. See, everything separate from execution is simply a waste of time. When we started off in the authoring publishing market, and we are a publishing company, we've got our digital magazine here, as you can see. We have we teach clients how to publish their advice in a coaching and co-branding perspective, so they can command maximum fees and royalties for high-end programs and services. So whether you're a coach, consultant, or a trainer, this is right for you to really create the kind of positioning within your company. And the execution is so crucial. In my first 2.5 years in business, I really operated as a not-for-profit, and one of the biggest mistakes that I made was I was continuously reading and dreaming, spending a lot of money on reading and dreaming, and not really understanding how to execute in the marketplace. And one of the things that I did when I finally got this aha moment, it cost me about $65,000 to have this aha moment that I'm going to tell you right now, is that's the amount of money that I spent my first year in trying to get a company going, and we made a little over $200, about $211, $212 in our first year. In our first 2.5 years, we made about $523. So not a very good ROI on all of the investments that I was making in my company and in myself. And I want to underscore that you're investing in your company and in yourself. Why? Because you're investing in yourself because you are your brand. And you've got to know how to leverage your own personal brand in today's marketplace as a trusted advisor. And you have a company brand, something that you're going to be selling. And you want to be able to create growth and acceleration with your company. And you want to be able to do that in a proven method. And what I figured out in business is in the area of execution. When I started my company, we started when I got really serious about growing my company. I started putting proposals in the market. You know, we were in the authoring publishing market. We got picked up or recognized by Adobe within 5 years or 5 weeks of launching my very first website, and a lot of really good things happened, all because I started taking action that I wasn't taking before. So putting proposals out in the marketplace. Today we teach clients how to build off of executive summaries a lot faster, a lot quicker, a lot more strategic, speeds the conversation up in the marketplace. But just having and putting those out in the marketplace allowed me to start elevating my thinking and started giving me the confidence that I could play big, because I started having conversations with some major companies when I was still in education. And I always had those conversations under the positioning that one of our divisions within our company was our publishing arm, which was looking for some strategic partners to take our authoring material that got us in the first place recognized by Adobe, and taking us into marketplaces to help young entrepreneurs, i.e. school kids, because at that time I was really focusing on the teacher market and helping people build their ideas and write their books, etc. But I say all this because I was doing things, I realized that I needed to do things that I wasn't willing to do in my beginning days in business. And we've called this your seam of success. Focusing on what other people don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing. And so when I started in business, I started this as mantra: focusing, Glenn, on what other people don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing. So what does that mean? Well, that meant that I was an educator, so I could leverage some of my skills and really leverage them in the business world around assessment instruments, around accelerated teaching and learning, which is an area that I specialized in, around how do you organize your thinking, your curriculum, that will allow you to fast write a book, 100 pages in less than 12 hours, where we created the very first strategic partnership with a New York publisher, where we also created the very first joint venture with the world's first print-on-demand company, which was called BookSurge, and they were bought out by Amazon. Now, those were some of the conversations that I built right at the beginning of business and allowed my company to do this. Just move stratospherically at speed to market fashion. Today's marketplace, some of the conversations that we're having and what we've done are I would never have dreamed of. You know, from closing deals that run into the multi-millions of dollars, and we teach our clients how to do the very same thing, to growing one of the fastest growth models for how do you do high-end mastermind events, our mastermind monetizer system, and how do you build royalties and command maximum fees for high-end programs and services, our coaching and co-branding programs. And my point is this, that you've got to get into the market and create the kind of conversations that create buzz for what you do and that allow you to execute in ways that allow you to make better decisions, create better focus, learning how to become more didactic from teaching to speak or speak to teach, to positioning yourself at the forefront of what's going on in the marketplace today. So the last, in executing, the one principle that I can't underscore enough is in today's marketplace, you need to know how to create strategy on the fly. Creating strategy on the fly is crucial. And in everything that I've done, it's always come down to strategy on the fly. It's like, what can we do? How can we position? What can I actually do to accelerate newer and faster conversations in the marketplace? And as we started off our training today by looking at a decision making or building accelerated growth and transformations within yourself and business by making better decisions, both cognitively and emotionally, and then moving into how do you focus at a greater rate. Best way of focusing and making decisions and putting everything together is tying, as I said at the very beginning, how you focus and how you self-reflect, and the importance of writing as the doing part of thinking, with at the same time supporting that and reinforcing that in the marketplace. And so many people today try to reinforce it by reading other books, using business funnels and convoluted systems to do business today that just literally keep you always at an arm's distance from talking to your ideal client, or from talking and getting into a conversation about positioning your value where your ideal clients naturally want to work with you and want to invest in your programs and services. So final question here, just as a self-reflective question today, is analyze your business model today from the standpoint, where do you have chinks or kinks in your business model that's preventing you from dialoguing with your ideal client a lot more meaningfully, a lot faster, and at a much higher level of conversation. And I can't stress to you enough that business happens in the marketplace. Out there, I'm pointing to a window in our office here. It happens out there. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in our minds. That's why you always want to look within and you want to execute without. All right, you look within for value. You look without for perspective, because it all comes down to, at the end of the day, taking the kind of action steps that are going to be congruent to what's really going to create accelerated growth within yourself and within your company. So from somebody who has built a company in a way that I would never have envisioned, all because I followed the feedback that I was given in the market, which I recommend to you, and we've covered that here today, following that marketing feedback, just like an animal or a cat or a dog will follow their food. If you've dropped food, and they'll follow that food wherever you've gone, and they follow that food. Or you follow your nose to your table when you smell that supper or dinner is ready. You want to follow instinctively the marketing feedback data that you've got to accumulate in today's marketplace. So take these rules, these principles that I've covered today around accelerated transformation, and when it comes to goal setting, remember that you want to, if you follow these rules and principles, you're going to begin to set new goals, more powerful goals, goals that provide you accountability, not just with yourself, but in the marketplace with others. It's been said that the greatest form of accountability is public accountability. So I want to challenge you to let not just anybody, but let the key people in your life know your goals. Step out of your comfort zone and really go for it. And I look forward to our next Google Hangout together. Next week we'll have our one day here at the Canadian Lake House. I'm actually in our international office today. So I'm not sure if we're going to do a Google Hangout yet, live from the Canadian Lake home. I think we're going to try to do one, and gives you a chance to meet many amazing entrepreneurs that are flying in from all over the world. And if you're one of those watching today, I really look forward to welcoming you. My wife does, our kids. You are going to learn a ton at the Canadian Lake home at our private Omega Mind private one-day business acceleration intensive. And if you've never seen this before, this is our Omega Mind program, and every program that we've done has been sold out, and I'm honored and privileged by that. There goes my camera again here. Let's just readjust it here. There we go. And our program has been sold out within 24 hours, these private one days that we're doing. And I'm really excited. If you're going to be there, you're going to meet some amazing entrepreneurs that we have coming in all over the world. And if you want these kinds of clients, everybody, become a person of value. Follow what I just shared with you today. Be very critical of what it is that you're doing. But understand that it's not about perfection. It's just about performing excellently. Be excellent in the presence of others. You don't have to be perfect. Just be excellent. Follow what we covered today, and I look forward to, I hope, our paths crossing sooner than later. Have a great one, everyone, and I look forward to our next Google Hangout live from the Canadian Lake home next Monday, 2 o'clock EDT. I'll talk to all of you again really soon.